Hello, welcome to the June Research Matters. And today we have a few housekeeping items to talk about before we get started. A copy of the slides will be sent out this afternoon after this presentation is concluded. You may also listen to the session using the link immediately after this meeting has concluded. We also, if you have any questions, would like you to put in the questions in the Q&A chat. And we are going to get started today with Eriko, who will continue with her updates on ct.gov, followed by Kimberly Hawkins, the program manager on the SIRB team, and she will be talking about updates on that team. So please, Eriko, you may get started.
Thank you, Erica. So good afternoon. I'm Eriko. I work in Regulatory Support Office with Resija Nambia to support clinicaltrial.gov and Raj Baradarajan, who supports and IDE submission. So in previous research, I talked about what ct.gov is, why it is required, which study needs to be registered, by when. And this month, I want to talk who needs to do the ct.gov reporting. The big question is whose responsibility is clinicaltrial.gov reporting? So it is the sponsor of the clinical trial or responsible party who has been designated by the sponsor. So for the industry sponsor study, in general, as I mentioned in previous talks, sponsor is the one to do the ct.gov reporting. You don't have to worry for those. Unless sponsor delegates their responsibility to UT Southwestern investigator, then our UT Southwestern investigator responsible party to do the ct.gov reporting. So for those internally funded studies, so PI-initiated studies at UT Southwestern, study investigators are the responsible party to do the ct.gov reporting. So again, regulation requires responsible party to register and submit results for applicable clinical trial of drug and device. So regulation defines responsible party as individual who is responsible for conducting the trial, who has access to and control over the data from the clinical trial, has right to publish, has the ability to meet regulatory requirements. So these responsibilities are usually principal investigators' responsibility. So therefore, at UT Southwestern, expectation is PI to be the responsible party, and PI needs to be listed as main contact in the ct.gov record. And PI needs to review the record for the accuracy and submit it to the ct.gov for their review. But we understand PI is extremely busy with other million responsibilities, right? So can PI get help with ct.gov data entry? The answer is yes. So anyone on the study team can enter the information for PI. So just make sure, so if you're assisting PI with ct.gov reporting, please contact our office or record owner to add you in the access list. But please also remember that PI must still review the record for the accuracy and submit it to the clinicaltrial.gov for their review, as it is required by regulation. So here are important things to remember. So ct.gov registration and results posting are scientific tasks rather than administrative tasks. So in basic epidemiological and statistical knowledge, especially for the outcome measure section at the time of study registration and results reporting. So since section of ct.gov is scientific task, so when you do data entry for PI, you should ask yourself if you are a scientist. If you're not, you should ask PI to do, or have scientific member of the study team do it for the PI. And so I say scientific task, but clinical science. So if you're not a clinical scientist, you may not have expertise to do some of the section in the ct.gov. To know clinical design. So is it adaptive trial? Is it smart trial? So you need to be familiar with different assignment schedule for your trial. So you need to know the study pre-specified primary and secondary outcome in detail. So for example, are you reporting primary outcome in counts, ratio, rate, or mean change from baseline? Or is it time to event types of data, such as cumulative of outcome like death over time? And then you need to provide clear metric and contextual scale information and time frame for specific measurement for your primary and secondary outcome at the time of registration. And when you do the results reporting, you need to be comfortable, very comfortable with reporting descriptive statistics. So you need to have a basic understanding of which dispersion method, so precision or measure of central tendency, should be reported to your reported outcome. With that, of course, recommend PI, COI, or clinical scientists who have epidemiological and statistical knowledge to do the outcome measure module, and rest of the section can be done by coordinator or data specialist. And for results reporting, again, task force highly recommend PI and biostatistician or whoever is going to do the statistical analysis to do the results reporting. So maybe experienced data specialists can assist in data entry with the help of PI. But as many of you already know, it can get really, really complex and consuming. So results posting is very actually similar to preparing a population characteristics table for the manuscript. So which is typically table 1 of the manuscript. So it's very similar to, the task is very similar. So NIH does estimate results reporting can take up to 30 to 50 hours for complex design and with multiple outcomes. So make sure you start early. Then I want to review the submission cycle once again. So first, so PI or other research staff to enter the information. And once you're done, you click green entry complete button. Then you email PI to review the entry for accuracy. So once PI review, then PI select approve and release button to finalize the record submission. So those are 2 buttons they need to press. And record often gets stuck, so never release to ct.gov because PI does not select release button. So just make sure they select 2 buttons. So ct.gov review will take up to 7 days for registration and 30 days for the results. So when ct.gov find any issue with reported, it will come back with stipulation. So email will be sent to record owner and whoever worked on the record. And your record will show up on our program record list. So you will probably hear from me or Resija. And you have a 15 calendar days to address their stipulation, and then you will follow the same steps and until ct.gov accept your changes. And when there's no issue, record will be made public. So what I have seen is that I request PI to review it, but PI released the record like right away within like 5 seconds before reviewing it. So, but I just want to remind you all that there are multiple watchdogs for the quality of the ct.gov record, including NIH. And this evidence-based medicine data lab at the University of Oxford, who also runs the non-compliance tracker website, this group called Compare. So this you need to watch out because they're like a journal, like a manuscript, like a police. So they go into the published journal and compare data in ct.gov. When they detected this phenomena called outcome switching, so basically they find unreported or added outcome in the manuscript. And also when they find any discrepancy between ct.gov and manuscript, this group write the letter to the journal for article correction or sometimes request article retraction. And also many journal editors today are comparing reported outcome in manuscript and ct.gov. So this is the actual email investigator received from Journal of Clinical Oncology. So journal editor basically suspected outcome switching or known as a multiple testing problem or reporting bias in the manuscript. So they found the discrepancy between reported outcome in manuscript and ct.gov. And then actually in this letter, editors are requesting investigator to remove this significant secondary outcome from the discussion section. So just make sure PI carefully reviews outcome measures section in ct.gov before they select green release button to finalize the submission, because it's very important to do the ct.gov registration correctly, because you will be held with the standard at the time of publication. So now quickly review metrics. So according to Federal Non-Compliance Tracker website, UT Southwestern as a whole, our compliance rate or proportion, so a year ago, was 68.2%. And UT Southwestern leadership was obviously very concerned at the time. So with everyone's effort, we made 100% compliance since January, and in we were able to keep 100% compliance. So again, important to note that this 100% compliance is for FDA-regulated applicable clinical trial results only. So it does not include NIH trial that are not applicable clinical FDA-regulated trial, or trial that those are voluntary register. So so this graph shows overall real-time compliance for all UT Southwestern record. So we start managing Parkland record. Those are just 3 records with Parkland account. So this blue histogram is the total number of trial that is registered under UT Southwestern accounts, and green is the number of record with no problem. So whatever the difference between blue and green are the bad ones, so these orange and red one, so those are considered problem record. So orange one is the problem record that are not FDA regulated trial, but it has been flagged in the system with some sort of error, which must be corrected. So we are finally able to clear last FDA regulated trial, the subject to federal monetary fine in April. So our goal is this orange and red one to be as low as we can, and continue with 100% compliance in compliance tracker website. So so please aware that UT Southwestern leaderships are periodically reviewing non-compliance tracker website. Because this is this one is a public website, so it is simply hurting UT Southwestern reputation. So just be aware they're looking, and this list also name of the PI as well. So here are the contact person for ct.gov related issues, and selected list for resource. So if you have a question, please email us. So thank you for listening. I'm going to turn over to Erica and Kimberly. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Erica, I'll actually take it. So we did get a question, Erica, that we'd like you to answer while Kimberly is pulling up her slides. So the question is, what is the timeline of creating a study in CT.gov in regards to when a study is approved by the IRB?
So that will be depends on the sponsor and then the types of a study. So for I'm sorry, do you want me to just type it in the chat?
No, if you can go ahead and answer it. And then if you want to follow up with typing it in the chat, that's fine too.
Okay, sure. So for NIH clinical trial, NIH funded clinical trial and FDA regulated trial, those are registration is required at the time of IRB, ERB study approval. So we will hold green light for those study if we don't have NCT number. So for other studies, if you're going to publish your study in the one of the ICMJE journal, and then if those studies meet the definition of publication policy clinical trial, then you would need to register before first patient enrollment. But we're not going to hold green light for those because those are just optional for PI, those who is willing to publish in the journal. So, but if you have any further question about timeline, email me.
Thank you, Erica. And Kimberly, are you able to pull up your slides? Perfect. Okay, everybody, welcome Kimberly.
Thank you. And I'm pleased to be here. I'm Kimberly Hawkins, the Reliance Program Manager. And so today we'd like to first start with the HRPP updates. So we'd like to welcome Sandra Moronis and Shelley Wu, who are regulatory analysts in our department now, and Manali Shah, who's a regulatory monitoring analyst. So we're very pleased to have them join us. And we would also like to remind all of those in the research community who use the submit studies for Reliance that we are asking the researchers to wait and submit your single IRB, your Reliance study until the IRB of record, like Advara or WCG or the University of Utah IRB issues the site approval, meaning the approval for UT Southwestern and Children's and Parkland and any of our affiliates. We ask that you leave the study in draft until you actually have those approval letters and approved consent forms or whatever documents are needed to actually initiate our site approval. And the reason that we're asking for that is to streamline the approval process. Performance site approval can't be issued. The HRPP acceptance can't go forward without that. And it will just, it just sits in our box, and we are just asking that you hold on to it until that site approval is issued. Thank you. So the next thing I'm excited to show you is about a year ago, we planned on having the research community forum live here in Dallas. And unfortunately, as you all know, COVID-19 happened and we had to cancel that. So we are now doing a virtual research community forum with OHRP. And so we're pleased to offer that, as well as 8 hours of CNE and CIP credits that are available. So spots are filling up though, and it is taking place June 15th to 16th. So there's not much time left. There is on the website, where you can visit and sign up, and an email address if you have any questions. Next, we have the decision tree. Those of you who have submitted or worked with COVID-19 studies, there is a pre-approval decision tree that we issued, and so there was a COVID-19 ad hoc committee approval that was required, and that ad hoc committee approval is no longer required. However, the other approvals are still required if they apply, and that would be if the study will collect or study COVID-19 specimens, then it still does need to get approval from the Biorepository Stewardship Committee. And the other one is, will the study collect or study COVID-19 data? The COVID Registry Collaborative approval is still required. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to contact the office. Now the presentation today is on single IRB. What is it? So we're going to start off by talking about the single IRB, SIRB model, and talk about the role of human research protections. So the first question is, what is human research protection? And it's made up of all of these departments, and you are part of this. Here is the HRPP office down here. Here's legal counsel, and here's research personnel, which you all might fall into. The Cancer Center, compliance and privacy. Here's the IRB, which is the Institutional Review Board. Here's the institutional official, sponsored programs, which you all probably work with. Conflict of interest, safety committees, like the radiation subcommittee for human use of radiation. So we all are part of HRP, or Human Research Protections. And the purpose of that is to protect the rights and welfare of human research participants. So the lead site. What is a lead site in multi-center research when there's more than one site? It's where the lead PI of the overall study is. The lead PI has ultimate responsibility for conduct of the study. So let's say the PI, the UT Southwestern PI, has had a integral role in writing the protocol, in directing where the research is headed. They may be considered the lead PI, and therefore UT Southwestern would be considered the lead site. In our SMART form, EIRB, this is found in 5.7.1 after you've already selected that this is a multi-center study. And it says, is the UT Southwestern PI or COI the lead investigator or primary grant awardee? And you would select yes, if that's the case. And then for data coordinating center is another definition in single IRB world. And this is the group that assists with management of the study project. In data, the lead PI may delegate some of that responsibility to a separate data coordinating center that may be at another university or maybe a different entity altogether. So in 5.7.2 of EIRB, it asks, is UT Southwestern the central coordinating center for this study? And so that may or may not be yes or no. In relying site, what's a relying site? So, and that's as opposed to the lead site, or as opposed to when you talk about single IRB, you have a reviewing IRB, meaning if UT Southwestern is the IRB that's going to review the research, then you have a relying site, the one that's going to rely on Advara or rely on WCG or the review performed by the University of Utah or another institution. So each university that requires a reliance agreement dependent on investigator affiliation. So in 5.7.4, is the UT Southwestern IRB serving as the IRB of record for any of the sites? So let's say the PI is we're the lead site. The PI is the lead investigator, and we are serving as the lead IRB. And then in 5.7.4a, it asks, list all the non-UT Southwestern sites for which UT Southwestern IRB will serve as the IRB of record. So you would list all of the institutions where they're going to rely on UT Southwestern IRB, like Emory or University of wherever. So the performance sites, participating sites, we know what performance sites are. It's all sites where any of the research takes place. So in EIRB, that's 5.1. Those are UT Southwestern affiliated performance sites. That's where you already list Parkland and Children's Medical Center, Dallas, and any of the other sites that you typically list there. And in 5.1.1, non-UT, well, actually, I did show you there. This is the performance site section. Add all not UT Southwestern. That's what it looks like right now. And then 5.1.1, non-UT Southwestern sites, where UT Southwestern faculty, students, and staff will be visiting or traveling, traveling to. So now, these are not UT Southwestern sites, but our people, our faculty, students, or staff are actually going there and conducting all of the study activities. So we are engaged in research at these locations. So we would list them here. And we would need a letter of support from those sites saying, yeah, it's okay. We support your research, and it's okay for you to come onto our site and do those study activities. And so let's shift gears just a little bit. So what is single IRB anyway? Why do we have to do it? Where did it come from? Well, the NIH in January 25th, 2018, they published a policy that said that it's required for all multi-site domestic, non-exempt NIH research for grants submitted on or after that date. And then later effective January 2020, all federally funded research followed after that. I don't know if you can see all the fine print, but it includes a lot of other sites. DOD, SSA, DHHS, and when will UT Southwestern support cooperative research? When it's required by regulation, meaning this clearly says when we have to do it, but also when UT Southwestern faculty collaborates with external institutions. When is it not required, though? Well, so the regulations said, yes, this is when you have to do it, but there are some exceptions. So here is one exception, when it's exempt research. And typically it's not really time effective. It doesn't save you very much time, and it doesn't streamline. I would propose, personal opinion only, that it does not save you or streamline much to use single IRB in an exempt research situation. And but and also, if the designated SIRB is unable to meet the needs of specific populations, you can get an exception under certain circumstances. You have to apply for it, but you can. Also, where local IRB is required by federal, tribal, or state laws. So we don't see that really with the things that we do, but it could come up perhaps. Research conducted under career development, research training, or fellowship awards. So the full picture here, what exactly happens in a single IRB situation? This is the Human Research Protection Program, kind of another slice into that other picture we looked at before here. We saw this is a picture that's specific to UT Southwestern. Here, it outlines more departments. When we go down to this one, it has the same basic information. When we take this and go to our website, I did want to give you the, here is our website currently. We are revising this. We are in the process of revising this, but in the meantime, these are the links that may be helpful to you about our single IRB program. This is our Human Research Protection Program. These are our policies and procedures under quick links. And you can also see our policies for relying on an external IRB, and 2.8 is for collaborating with external sites when UT Southwestern will serve as an IRB. Additionally, the ancillary reviews is another link that's helpful. So when you look at this slice and you have, here's the ancillary reviews, institutional policy verification, state local law verification, which of this is the HRP responsible for and single IRB responsible for? In this case, this is the only piece that we pull out, and the single IRB is responsible for this. UT Southwestern HRPP is going to be responsible for all of the rest, or other departments. We are responsible for making sure that all of the rest of these items are taken care of. So we work in tandem with the single IRB to make sure it all gets taken care of. That's why you need to make a submission for the IRB to have site approval. And you also have to make according to our policy, a submission to the HRPP, because that's in EIRB, that's where we track ancillary reviews, performance site approvals, and make sure everything else has been done. So the IRB criteria for IRB approval of research and the HIPAA authorization and privacy rule. Most of the reliance agreements that we sign include the HIPAA privacy rule. Now, some of you will know if you work with NCI CIRB and the National Marrow Donor Program that HIPAA is not included in those programs, and UT Southwestern handles those reviews. But for the most part, the IRB will be responsible for that. The institutional community profile. For example, you will often see on Reliance submissions you'll receive paperwork, a local context form, and an institutional profile. Those documents are what the IRB uses to make sure that they encompass our particular site's information, the things that are specific to our site. And the local context form that is usually, if you receive one of those, there's usually a section that the study team, you guys, have to fill out first, because it talks about the study and what you are doing in terms of recruitment here and protocol specific things that you guys have to fill out first. And then you send it to us, and the Reliance team completes the things that are specific to laws and HRPP policy. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about today were Reliance agreements and the different types of agreements that we have. So it's a contract between two IRBs that allows one IRB to rely on the other's review. It lays out all the responsibilities, and it's signed by the IRB director or the institutional official. It can be signed by can be signed by the Rhonda is an assistant vice president. So it just depends on your university, how it's set up. So there's also, you may have heard of Smart IRB agreement. This is a type of master reliance agreement that there's over 800 now, 850, I'm guessing. Institutions across the United States have all signed this 24-page agreement, and that allows us to go back and on a particular project sign a one-page saying, just for this particular agreement, Institution A relies on Institution B, and Institution B is going to be the IRB of record, or the single IRB. The IRB exchange, IREX, is something that we are working with more and more, especially when we are the IRB of record. It's a freely available, it's a web-based portal supporting single IRB review. It's a documentation and coordination of multi-center clinical trials. So many institutions, ours included, have a firewall, and this allows a documentation from something like EIRB in terms of approval letters and approved documents to be uploaded into this portal, and to put communicate with the other sites. And it also has the capability someday of doing more than that. The institutional profile I told you about before, and the local context I told you about as well. This is a preview. Because of the amount of information there is, this was just background information that I already told you. And the next time I would like to tell you about, so how does the process work here at UT Southwestern? How do you initiate it? And what does it look like for ongoing review and oversight? Lastly, I would like to give you time for questions, but also give you the contact information for the Reliance team. So I'm the Reliance program manager, but Hind Nadeem is the senior regulatory analyst in our department. Marine Aslam is the regulatory analyst. She works with single IRB primarily, but she also works with Reliance studies. So just to give you a quick distinction there, when UT Southwestern is the IRB of record, we have a tendency to call it single IRB. And when we are relying out, we call it the Reliance. But they all mean the same thing. Somebody's the single IRB and somebody's relying. So Luyen Tai, she's a regulatory analyst. I'm very pleased to have her on the team as well, and she works with Reliance. And she works with NCI CIRB studies. So if you have, if you work with NCI CIRB and you have questions about adding somebody to CTSU, she's the person you can go to for that. And we also have UT Southwestern Reliance consultations. So this is through bookings, and you're welcome to set up an appointment. It goes onto our calendar. It shows the available times for everybody on my team. And also, we are now available. One of us will always be available at the virtual open office hours. So thank you very much for your attention. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. That was such a great presentation. You were getting a slight echo. It's like muted you, Kimberly. We did have some questions come in, Kimberly, just to let you know that I did answer them. I'm telling them to contact you if they have any follow-up. So expect some emails to come in. Are there any additional questions that popped up Just to let you all know, the June Research Matters, June 15th, will be canceled because that is when the Research Community Forum that Kimberly just advertised is going to be happening. So we won't be holding 2 concurrent presentations. If you have any questions or you haven't signed up for the conference, we would highly recommend that you do it. We have a couple of UT Southwestern faculty members who are going to be presenting, and we're so proud of everything that they're going to present for us. I'm not seeing any questions come in as I do all this filler. We will most likely, oh, Erica is reminding me that there is a registration fee of $75. That helps us cover just the costs of the online platform and everything that goes into planning this conference. But there are 8, like Kimberly said, 8 hours of CNEs or CIPs, which if you are ACRP or SOCRA certified, you can usually claim the CIP credits for those certifications. And lastly, Erica, can you hear me?
Unfortunately, something happened to Josh's mic, but I still am not seeing any questions come through. So if you do happen to think of anything, you are more than welcome to reach out to us, and we will see you guys in July if we don't see you at the June RCF. Thank you and have a great day.
Josh, I could hear everything you were saying.